Hey, what's up, Noah? Today's Saturday, and I'm going to tell you all about the Star Wars movies in 7 minutes. I was recently challenged to do this by my good friend Reese Morris, so here goes. I'm going to try to do my best, and hopefully I don't go over it. Okay, let's go now. Episode 1, complete crap. Literally, everything you need to know about Episode 1 is explained in 2 and 3, so it's not a big deal. Probably mention that there'll be spoilers. So in episode 2, you have a lot of time that has passed. Anakin's now kind of a fully fledged Padawan. He's really doing stuff, and then there's the Clone Wars that start taking place. They find out that there's a secret base in Kamino where they've been making clones of Jango Fett, who is actually a bounty hunter that Obi-Wan has been chasing out throughout the entirety of the episode. They are in like a tournament thingy, and there's tons of stuff, and then Obi-Wan kills Jango Fett. And then there's this big whole duel. Oh, it's on Geonosis. And they have this big duel with Count Dooku at the end, and Yoda comes, and he's totally BA, and everything cool kind of happens, and just basically setting up everything for Episode 3. Episode 3 is when you see Anakin is obviously in love with Padme, and he's trying to do a lot of things to keep it right. And there's just a whole bunch of random crap going on. It's called Revenge of the Sith. There's the Sith Lords coming up. They make Anakin kind of evil-ish, and then he goes and he just kills tons of little kids. And it's probably one of the most depressing scenes in Star Wars history. And there's just a whole bunch of battling going on, a whole bunch of betrayal. All the Jedis are dead except for Obi-Wan and Yoda, and they kind of escape, and then they go to Mustafar, and there's a whole bunch of crap that goes down, and then the Sith Lord is like, LOL, I am General Palpatine, and I am the Sith Lord. And then he just like kills all of his friends, and he's like trying to set up the new Empire, and then there's this whole awesome battle at the end, which is called the Battle of the Heroes with Obi-Wan and Anakin and his master versus apprentice, and then he gets his legs chopped off and he gets caught on fire, and then he turns into Darth Vader. And now we're at Episode 4, which is the original trilogy, which is Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. And so what happens in this movie is that you see our actual main protagonist, Luke Skywalker, who, spoiler alert, is the son of Darth Vader, but you don't know that because the father is kind of ambiguous at this point. And so Luke finds out from his good friend Ben Kenobi, who is actually Obi-Wan Kenobi, that he is a Jedi, or he is one in training. And so they go on this quest to try and help the rebel forces out because Obi-Wan gets a message from Princess Leia that she needs help. So they go, and they find out tons of stuff. Luke's sweet, and he finds out these plans to destroy the Death Star. And they destroy the Death Star, and it goes kablah. But somehow Darth Vader makes it out alive. It's a pretty intricate synopsis. Also, Obi-Wan dies, which is sad, but then he doesn't die because he's one with the Force, and he helps Luke know how to kill the Death Star. It'll make sense in a bit. Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. This one is really big and is arguably the best. Depends on who you talk to. But really, it's kind of a crazy, crazy one. A lot of stuff happens, guys. A lot of stuff. Pew, 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 pew. Yeah, that's a lot of how the Star Wars start. But it's The Empire Strikes Back, and they start off on Hoth, where, Luke kind of has to defeat the giant, like, walkie things, AT-ATs. And he ends up finding himself in a cave with a Wampa, which is this giant beast thingy, and he has to, like, pull his sword and kill it. So then he decides, with the help of Obi-Wan's guidance from the grave, that he should go to Dagobah, which is where he finds Yoda. And he thinks Yoda's this little kind of crazy green dude, but he ends up being his teacher and teaches him how to control the Force. And Weird Al made a song about it. And so then Luke, during his training, is like, OMG, I have a premonition, my friends are going to die, so we need to go. So they go to Cloud City, and Han Solo sees his old friend Lando Calrissian, and he's like, LOL, I'm sorry, I had to betray you. So then Boba Fett comes, and he's like, I am a bounty hunter, I'm here for you. To take you back to Jabba the Hutt, my bad. And so Han Solo gets carbon frozen after him and Leia are like, I love you, or, they kind of just know it. And so then there's the huge fight between Darth Vader and Luke gets his hand cut off, and then there's the, I am your father, ho, 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 no! And then he escapes and he gets a new hand. Whee! Episode 6 is the episode that ties it all together really well, and it kind of just ends it. But a lot of people are conflicted on it because it's kind of kiddish, which is what I'm going to get to here in a second. So in episode 6, we see that they save Han Solo in the very beginning, and it's all great, and Luke has to fight the Rancor, and Leia kills Jabba, which is pretty sweet, and then Boba Fett goes, "Pfft." Or no, Boba Fett dies in the 5th one. Never mind, that's not important. Anyway, so then Luke goes back to Dagobah where he sees Yoda die, but he doesn't really die. Like, again, he becomes one with the Force just like Obi-Wan did. Anyway, so they go back and... Oh no, and then Obi-Wan's spirit is there, and he's like, "LOL, you kissed your sister," and it's like, "OMG, Leia's my sister," and it's all kind of weird, but, you know, he gets over it. So then he finds, he goes back to Endor, and then he goes back in the Death Star, and they're fighting, or Darth Vader's like, "You will go on the dark side." And Luke's like, "I won't go on the dark side," and he's like, "You will go on the dark side." "I won't go on the dark side," and stuff like that. And so then back on the moon of Endor, there's all the stuff happening where they're trying to disable the shields of the Death Star, and they're like, "Oh no, I can't do it because we're being surrounded by peoples." But then the Ewoks, these little teddy bear things, are like, "We have sharp, pointy things," and they throw their little spears into the people, the bad guys, and they die, and that's all good. And then Darth Vader's fighting Luke, and Luke's like, "Hiya!" and he cuts his arm off, and Darth Vader's like, "Ouch! My arm, but that was robotic anyway." And so then they're fighting, and then Emperor Palpatine is like, "LOL, I'm sick of this crap." And he goes, "Force lightning, ksha!" And Luke's like, "Ah! Ksha! Ah!" And then Darth Vader's like, "Not my son, you don't." And he's like, "Hiya, I pick you up, and sha, I throw you, and you die, because you fall into the reactor." And then he's like, "Oh, son, I am dying." And he's like, "Psh, take your helmet off." And he's like, "I am your father, and I am sorry for everything that I have done." And he's like, "LOL, it's cool, Dad. I love you." And then he dies, and they both, he takes his dad's body, and they fly away. And then Lando Calrissian, who is also on the Death Star, also gets out, and Death Star goes kapooey again. And then they go back to Endor, and they party, and it's cool. And then Han Solo figures out that he can be with Leia, so they smooch, and it's all good. And C-3PO is celebrated as a god. And then Luke looks over, and he's like, and he sees the spirits of Yoda and Obi-Wan and his father redeemed. And it's, and normally that would be the end of it. Normally they'd just be like, "Okay, that's Star Wars, yay." But now Disney owns that Star Wars stuff, and they're making Episode 7, and we don't really know much except that there's a bad dude who's a Sith with like lightsaber with like little cross thingy, and Stephen Colbert summed it up really well, and so that's cool. We don't really know a lot. A lot of people are upset because there's a black stormtrooper, when I think it's really just, you know, one of the good guys in disguise or something like that. I don't know, but it looks good. I mean, I'm gonna go see it. I'm fans of all 5 Star Wars movies. So, you know, why not add a 6th one that's named number 7, you know? I'm cool with that. It's no big deal. Well, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. I hope that I summed it up pretty well, and I know there's a lot of parts that I missed, but I was really just trying to get the, you know, big chunks of meat on there. So, yeah, just leave a like down there, some comments below, because I enjoy all of your comments, like the 5 of you that comment. And hit that subscribe button, because we always appreciate that. And if you don't, then you will be force choked in my next video. There's no way I got this in 7 minutes, so no, I just go ahead and give me the punishment video. I kind of deserve it for a while now, so my body is ready. I love your faces and Flipperdor.